Tamil Chamber of Commerce Business Lunch and Networking. We are just about to start. It's customary for us to pay our respects for those people who's lost lives and given lives for the Tamil people from north and east of Sri Lanka. So if I may please kindly ask you all to stand up and observe a minute silent, please. Thank you. We'll start this afternoon by lighting the lamp. So if I may please call upon the following people to come and help us light the lamp. Sivakumar, proprietor, Chinna Spice Restaurant. Tiruvasakam, proprietor of an accountancy group. BTCC President. Steve Burns, Relationship Director, SME and Mid-Market Lloyds Bank. Mrs. Senthil Kumar, Teacher, House of Mental Arithmetics, UK. Ragini Ravindran, Premalaya Natya Chitra, Head Teacher. Mervyn Archer, Relationship Manager, NatWest. Tirumurthy, IT Consultant and BTCC Founder. Dr. Poologanathan, Practicing GP at Romford, member BTCC. Taya proprietor Abac Cash and Curry and also a BTCC member. Thank you. Okay, we now have a welcome dance. So if I may please ask the children to come along.
வரவேற்போம். இன்று அனைவரையும் வரவேற்று அரங்கத்தை வணங்கி நடனம் செய்ய வருகின்றார்கள். பிரேமாலயா நாட்டிய கஷேத்ரா நிறுவனத்தின் ஆசிரியரும் நாட்டிய கலைமானி திருமதி பிரேமா ரவீந்திரனின் மாணவிகளான செல்வி சுஜீர்ணா மேகவர்ணன், செல்வி அனோலின் சேவியர், செல்வி மெலோடி கணேசலிங்கம், செல்வி பிரியங்கா நாராயணன்.
ஆங்கிகம் புவனம் யஸ்ய வாச்சிகம் சர்வ வாங்மயம் ஆகிகம் புவனம் யஸ்ய வாச்சிகம் சர்வ சந்திர தாரதி தம் சாத்விகம் சிவம் 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 சாத்விகம் சிவம்
Hey!
முடித்த பிரேமாலயா நாட்டிய சேத்ரா நிறுவனத்தில் மாணவிகள் அனைவருக்கும் பிரித்தானிய தமிழ் வர்த்தக சமணத்தினர் நன்றி தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறார்.
So a slight change to the advertised program. You now had the dancers. It's customary for us to have dance. And also sincere apologies for the late start this afternoon.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of British Tamil Chamber of Commerce, I warmly welcome you all to 2014 series networking and lunch session. We have a number of speakers today, so we need to make sure that we run the program on a scheduled manner. First of all, our sincere thanks to our local MP, Adam Love, who had managed to make time to be here. Andy Love, I beg your pardon, who has agreed to be here to grace this occasion. Further, we have few speakers, starting from Steve Burns from Lloyds Bank. He's the Relationship Director for SME and Mid-Markets. We also have Mervyn Archer, a Relationship Manager from NatWest. Jiva Daniel from Links Solicitors. And Mr. Anant Arnold from BBA Accountants. We thank you all for making time on a bank holiday weekend and grace this occasion. Further, I'm not going to talk about British Tamil Chamber of Commerce or its activities, because we have Mr. Thirumurthy here who will be doing a presentation explaining our activities over the last 3 years. As we are running late on the program, slightly late in the scheduled programs, I hand over to our MC, Mr. Senthil Kumar, to follow the agenda.
Thank you very much, Bernard. It's very kind. Okay, without further ado, if we can start the lunch and networking, may I kindly suggest that please do not be with your friends, move around, change tables, and get to know other people whom you have not met before. Thanks very much. So if you enjoy the lunch, please. Table 2, please.
Presentation mainly in Tamil, which is the oldest language, spoken language in the world. But the presentation topics are given in English, so you should be able to follow what I am going to say mainly. But there will be few topics where I feel that I have to say them in English. I will do that as well. Presentation mainly in Tamil, which is the oldest language, spoken language in the world. But the presentation topics are given in English, so you should be able to follow what I am going to say mainly. But there will be few topics where I feel that I have to say them in English. I will do that as well. Yeah, here. So I'll be just talking about who we are, what we do, and whom we target, and who is going to benefit out of whatever the services we provide here. So these are the topics what we will be discussing here. Right. First of all, who we are. நான் வந்து தமிழ் வியாபார வர்த்தகங்களில் உள்ளவர்களும் மற்றும் ப்ரொஃபஷனல்ஸ், அதாவது அறிவுசார் நிபுணர்களும் மற்றும் கம்யூனிட்டி மைண்ட், அதாவது சமுதாயத்துக்கு ஏதாவது செய்யணும், எங்களுடைய பங்குகள் ஏதாவது செய்ய வேணும் அப்படின்னு நினைத்த ஒரு வாலண்டியர்ஸ் நாங்கள் எல்லாரும் சேர்ந்து இந்த அமைப்பை 2010 நாங்கள் ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்கோம். அதுக்கு ஒரு நோக்கம் இருக்கு. நாங்கள் ஏன் இதை ஆரம்பிச்சோம் அப்படின்னு, ஐக்கிய ராஜ்யத்தில் நாங்கள் வந்து எங்களுடைய தமிழ் மக்கள் எத்தனையோ பேர் வந்து அவங்களுடைய வருமானத்துக்காக வேலைகள் செய்தும் மற்றும் பலர் வியாபாரங்களில் ஈடுபட்டும் வருமானங்களில் ஈடுபட்டிருக்கிறாங்க. So lots of our people who have migrated from so many other countries, who have come to UK, they got into business for various reasons. But out of them, only a few have become successful, others could not make it. When we spoke to them, we found out that one of the main reasons for failures is that they did not have the right knowledge and the guidance to take them forward. So we realized that there is a need for an organization to guide them and advise them before they start the business or before they start growing their business. So we wanted to provide the British Tamils an association, a platform where they can increase or they find the correct path to increase their wealth. எங்களுடைய தமிழர்களுடைய பொருளாதாரத்தை நாங்கள் மேலே கொண்டு போகணும்னா நாங்கள் தனியாக நின்று போராட முடியாது. எல்லாரும் ஒன்றாக சேர்ந்து நான் எங்களுடைய அனுபவங்களை பகிர்ந்து கொண்டு, நல்லது கெட்டது ரெண்டையுமே பகிர்ந்து எங்களுடைய இந்த வியாபாரங்களை சரியான முறையில் செய்வதற்கு எங்களுக்கு இந்த அசோசியேஷனுடைய இந்த சேம்பருடைய ஒரு நோக்கமாக இருக்கிறது. அப்ப நாங்க இதை எப்படி செய்ய போறோம் அப்படின்னா, we want to bring all the Tamil business and professional community people together. Then we want to provide the guidance and the protection for the Tamil entrepreneurs, business people and the professionals. Then we also want to develop an investment process which could be adapted by the Tamils very easily and blend with the UK's business communities and the economy. Then we also want to become a single point of contact for business communities who want to do business with the Tamil community. அப்ப இந்த 4 விதமாகத்தான் நாங்க எங்களுடைய இந்த சேம்பர் மூலமாக எங்களுடைய தமிழ் சமுதாயத்தை சமுதாயத்தில் உள்ள வர்த்தகர்களை ஒன்றாக சேர்க்க முடியும். அப்ப இதில் இந்த வர்த்தகர்கள் அப்படின்னு நாங்க சொல்றேன், இது வந்து பொருட்கள் விற்பவர்களாக இருக்கலாம். There is people who might be selling retails or in wholesale side, or it could be professionals either skill based or knowledge based. It could be either. So we are trying to bring all of them together. So why do we need an association called a chamber at this particular moment? As you all are aware, throughout the world the economy went down and lots of countries suffered, a lot of businesses went down. But now the turnaround time, the economy seems to be turning around and progressing. I'm sure the bankers will agree with me. And so at the moment it is felt that there are around 500,000 businesses start up every year in this country. But not all of them succeed. கிட்டத்தட்ட ஒரு 30,000 பிசினஸ்கள் மாத்திரம் தான் இந்த 5 லட்சத்துல பிழைச்சு அதுக்கு மேலேயும் கண்டினியூ பண்ணுது. அப்ப மற்ற பிசினஸ்களில் roughly about 450,000 businesses which are dying because of various reasons. But the common theme is they lack the knowledge, they lack the guidance. It is not only the Tamil businesses, throughout UK, various communities, it could be anybody. Totally 500,000 businesses start up, roughly about 50,000 only seems to be continuing after their second year. In UK, we estimate it could be more, but the contacts what we have made so far shows that we have got roughly about 6,000 Tamil business owners. Maybe the number of businesses each one holds could be much more. It is not just 6,000 businesses as such. These are 6,000 business people. And we are talking about only small and medium-sized Tamil businesses. There are large organizations which employ thousands of people which are owned by Tamils. Especially in the telecom industry, I'm sure most of you will know 2 successful organizations, namely Lebara and Leica Mobile. They are owned by Tamils. And as you know, they are employing thousands of people. So within these 6,000 businesses, they seem to be employing around 250,000 people within UK, right? And they are turning over multi-billion pounds every year. But that particular money, whatever they generate, it seems to be going out and at times it's getting wasted. எங்கெங்கெல்லாம் யாருக்கெல்லாம் கொடுத்து அந்த பணம் வந்து எங்களுடைய சமுதாயத்துக்குள்ளேயே நிக்குதா அப்படின்னு பார்த்தால் இல்ல, எங்கெங்கெல்லாம் போய் வேஸ்ட் ஆகுது. So there is a need for an association to bring all those businesses together, number one, then to guide and support them, sustain that business growth, and to keep that wealth within the community, so that we too have that power, the savings, and the investment capacity to invest in larger businesses. ஒரு சின்ன கணக்கு ஒன்று போட்டு பார்ப்போம். உலகத்தில் 80 மில்லியன் தமிழர்கள் இருக்கிறதாக இப்போ நாங்கள் எங்களுடைய கணக்கு, அதை விட கூட இருக்கலாம். அதில் கிட்டத்தட்ட 1 லட்சம் பேரோட ஒரு வருஷத்துக்கு வெறும் 30,000 பவுண்டுக்கு நாங்கள் பிஸ்னஸ் செய்யலாம். ஒரு வருஷத்துக்கு டோட்டல் பிஸ்னஸ் அந்த டேர்ன் ஓவர் 3 பில்லியன் ஸ்டெர்லிங் பவுண்ட்ஸுக்கு வரும். அப்போ நாங்கள் இந்த தொகையை எங்களுடைய சமுதாயத்துக்குள்ளேயே வச்சுக்கொண்டா இந்த 3 பில்லியனை அடுத்த வருஷம் நாங்கள் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணலாம், இன்னும் பெரிய பிஸ்னஸ் வரலாம். What I said in Tamil now, it appears here. See, throughout the world, we have got 80 million identified Tamil population. Within that, let's say, we take 100,000 businesses doing just 30,000 pounds business among us every year. We are talking about 3 billion pounds business per annum turned over within our community. But no, we don't have proper account for it. So there is nobody who can come and say this community is turning over so much and it has this much of wealth. So this association, through this chamber, that is what we are trying to achieve. Bring accountability as well as the support for the community and the business. Right now, when moving on to the business environment, as we all know, small business is big business. What I meant by that is, the number of people who are doing small scale business is very vast. So when they do small business and they turn over so much of income or monetary wealth within every year, we have to take the Tamils into consideration and their contribution also within this vast economy. So, if that is the case, how is the business world changing, and whether the Tamils are ready to take over and the opportunities which are coming up in the new way of doing business. அதாவது இந்த வர்த்தகங்கள் நடத்துறது எல்லாமே இப்போ மாறிக்கொண்டு வருது. வெறும் ரீட்டைல் பிஸ்னஸ் மாத்திரம் அல்ல, வேற எத்தனையோ விதங்கள்ல பிஸ்னஸ் மாறுது. இப்பத்தியாம் வேர்ல்ட்ல நீங்களே அனுபவிச்சிருப்பீங்க. எங்களுக்கு எந்த பொருட்கள் எடுத்தாலும் எங்களுக்கு சீப்பா வேணும். The cost should be very much cheaper. Second, we want high quality because we are experiencing that particular high quality. So we expect everything to be of high quality but cheap. And we also have changing tastes, changing requirements. So we want the product disposable. எங்களுக்கு கூட காலம் ஒரே சாமானம் வச்சு கொண்டிருக்கிறதுக்கு we don't like. We just want to make use of any product for some time and then we want to dispose that. And we also require not only goods, all the supporting services as well. Now if you go to even supermarkets, now they are offering you the facility, order through web, they will deliver. So, and the third one is the way how people want things is they want it fast and they want it delivered. They don't, it seems something like this. The people have money now, but the people don't have time. So what they are willing to pay a little bit extra to get the services or the products delivered to you. So this is what the modern economy and the business world is showing us. So how did this happen? This happened because of the progress in IT, especially mobile devices based IT, and the internet which is connecting and allowing to deliver the information across. உங்களுக்கு அந்த மொபைல் டிவைசஸ்லேயோ உங்களுடைய கம்ப்யூட்டர்லையோ வெப்லேயோ உங்களுக்கு வாங்கக்கூடிய சாமான்கள் டிக்கெட் புக் பண்ணணுமா எல்லாமே உங்களுக்கு இப்போ வெப்பில் கிடைக்குது, எந்த பொருட்கள் வேணும்னாலும். அப்போ நாங்களும் எங்களுடைய பொருட்களையோ அல்லது எங்களுடைய சர்வீசஸையோ அந்த வெப்பில் போட்டு கொடுக்காட்டில் நாங்கள் இழக்கிற அந்த பிஸ்னஸ் ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி ரொம்ப கூடுதல். So it is high time that we also start adapting the modern way of doing business, especially the digital way. Web, mobile is the way to go. அதுக்காக சில ரிட்டைல் பிஸ்னஸ் எல்லாம் அதில் செய்ய முடியாது அப்படின்ட்டு இல்லை. If supermarket can deliver, learn from them. Adapt their business techniques. You also start delivering your products to the nearby vicinity. That's it. So if it is possible, yes, adapt there. So in today's business world, இந்திய வர்த்தக உலகம் என்ன நடக்குது? சின்ன இப்போ முதல் சொன்ன அவ்வளோத்தையும் சம்மரைஸ் பண்ணினால், இட் இஸ் ஸ்மால் மார்ஜின் லார்ஜ் வால்யூம். உங்களுடைய பொருட்கள் எல்லா பொருட்கள்லையுமே நீங்கள் பெரிய ஹை மார்ஜின் வச்சு விற்க முடியாது. ஏன்னா உங்களுடைய கம்பெட்டிட்டர் கொஞ்சம் பக்கத்துலேயே அவன் விலையை குறைச்சி விற்கிற நேரத்தில் கன்சியூமர் என்ன பார்ப்பாங்க, கஸ்டமர்ஸ் என்ன செய்வாங்க, they just look for that small price difference and then they say, oh, that person is, your competitor is better, we are moving there. உங்களுக்கு உங்களுடைய கம்பெட்டிட்டரை ஒவ்வொரு நேரமும் மானிட்டர் பண்ணிக்கொண்டே இருக்கிறது அப்படிங்கிறது ரொம்ப கஷ்டமான வேலை. So it is better you adapt the model, you bring in more customers to your stores, whether it is web-based or retail stores, where the customers are going to walk in, whichever it is. Where you have to ensure, you have to remember your competitors are there. They might be offering either same service or same products or much better products or better services at bit cheaper price. So you should be ready to compete in that world. So learning from ASDA, what do they say? We will match our competitors' price. You have to prove. You have to simply go and say, I bought this particular item at this particular price in such and such place, in a competitor's place. They are going to match you. They are going to refund that money. So this world is moving so fast with so many techniques, marketing techniques. Right. So if we don't change, நாங்கள் தமிழர்களும் இதை ஃபாஸ்டாக அடாப்ட் பண்ணாமல் இருந்தால் நாங்கள் பின்னுக்கே தான் போய் கொண்டிருப்போம். ஸோ தென் we will be losing the business. Then we will be wondering what happened, why did we lose the business, why did we get into lost positions, why did we get into debts. அதுக்கெல்லாம் இல்லாமல் ஒரு கைடன்ஸ் கொடுக்கறதுக்கு உங்களுக்கு ஒரு இந்த சேம்பர் இஸ் ஆஃபரிங் சர்டன் ஃபெசிலிட்டிஸ். எங்களுடைய பிடிசிசி அந்த பிஸ்னஸ் என்வாயன்மெண்ட்ல இருக்கிற நேரம் what we can do is we have the power. When we 6,000 businesses get together, we have a very good voice to talk to all these people. We can talk to the government, we can go and buy from suppliers at a very much discounted prices. We can help you enter new markets from here. For example, if you want to enter the European market or any other market for that sake, on an export oriented business, as a chamber we can get you the information and we can obtain the information from so many other chambers on a chamber to chamber relationship, which you can't. As an individual you will not be able to get that. But we can do that. As a chamber, we can speak to large organizations, get them to come sort of provide us the assistance, provide us the information which you want. So this is the main purpose or help what you can get from the chamber. We also can bring introduce you all to so many other global businesses. It is not only global Tamil businesses, but so many other businesses. Then we also can help you to network like this meeting. This is just one small event. We have got a few more ideas what we will show now. Right. So your network increases. For business people, you must know networking is the key for success. So we offer all these services, right? Because of lack of time, I'll just say that all these are available in our website. So, right. So please go there, visit the website and sort of learn. And if you want any service, please write to us or just call us. So we will give you the guidance, and we also offer free advice for our members. Right, it could be accounting, it could be legal, it could be tax related, or it could be just entering a new market, whatever it is. We give you not only free advices, but we also conduct regularly some workshops. So you all can come for those workshops, and we are trying to organize these workshops in different parts of the country depending on the demand. So if you all say that you have got about 10 people in one particular area, we will organize the correct person, an expert in that particular field, to come and give you all the knowledge. Right. Right. So we are given some good reasons why you should join the chamber. We have got about 20 reasons which you can again check from our website. Right. We have a cost benefit analysis which I will just skip. If you invest just mere £100 in the membership, how much you can earn in return if you go through all this. Right. Right. Starting from 2010, we have gone through a long journey, and what we have done so far, we have registered this association as a company. We have set up a IT-based infrastructure so that we can respond to you all very fast. Then we have set up a website. We have been conducting business-related workshops. It is not only for the business people, but also for people who are thinking of why not I start or try out a small business. Even from home, there are so many businesses what you can do over the web. So we can introduce you all. You just try it out. On eBay, you want to sell some items, we can show you how to do that. Right. And so many other aspects which you can do with minimum amount of investment. You don't have to invest anything except your time. With that itself, you can progress fast. Then we also conduct regular radio programs on ILC radio, UK, London-based radio. Most probably every Wednesday or alternative Wednesdays, we used to conduct about 1 hour or half an hour program with different experts. Yeah. Then TV program as well. Yeah. We have conducted similar type of business meetings previously as well. Yeah. And in each meeting we do conduct, sorry, I'm just progressing fast because I'm aware of the time and some of you are already feeling sleepy. So I don't want to wake you all up. It's not nice. All right. So what are our future plans? We have got some good ideas which I'm sure you will be interested. One of the main business idea what we have is to organize an annual a trade fair in London where we would like to bring business people from various parts of the world. It is not only Tamils, it could be anybody, but we want to bring them to London so that we from here, from the UK, we provide them that particular channel to sell their products here or services. Right. So we have been speaking to few people. Quite a lot of people have shown interest in it. So far, the Canadian Tamil Chamber has shown interest tying up with us. Norwegian Tamil Business Association has shown interest in working with us. And there are representatives from UK Tamil Nadu Chamber of Commerce. There they are. They too are very keen on working with us. We are aware that there could be some people here who might be doing business with Tamil Nadu already. Now we can bring all of you together, and when we bring as an association, we can negotiate for better terms, better tax rates and tax rebates, etc. from both the governments, that is from UK government as well as Tamil Nadu government. That is possible, right? So these are some of the plans what we have, which we will be conducting soon. But in order to progress further, we do need more members, active members. It is not, we have brought this organization up to this particular point over so many 4 or 5 years. But the burden is becoming more heavier and heavier now. We want more people to come in and take over whatever the work we have done and take this forward. So we would like to invite anybody who has some time to contribute as well. Right. In order to hand it over to the main speakers, we must know, in order to carry out a business, there are 5 M's in management theories. We make use of that. We need manpower, we need material, we need machinery, management tool, and money. And we have got, in today's meeting, we have got few people who are going to explain about the money part, how they can help us bringing or providing us that raising finances for small and medium enterprises. So with that, I will wind up for now. We will discuss or we'll take or answer any of your questions little later on. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Murthy, that's very kind. Okay, slight change to the itinerary. If I may please call upon Mr. Barry Mamotra, Managing Director, Ford Insurance Limited.
Good evening. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you all had a lovely meal, and the dessert as well. I've just got a few minutes to talk about insurance. I'm an insurance broker myself, been in the game 25 years. We hope to celebrate in September. But insurance is a vast field. My specialty is a general insurance broker. And that involves, we do personal lines, of course we do cars and high net worth policies, but mainly my clientele is based around cash and carries, hotels, care homes, petrol stations and religious establishments. What I want to bring to attention is that there are a lot of changes happening in FCA, which is the Financial Conduct Authority, which is a new regulatory body which has come on board, is much stronger than the FSA. There are quite a few changes coming on board. But to bring it down to our level, I want to bring the attention of the labeling of insurance. I think when I mention insurance to everyone, it's and usually because the first interaction we've had on insurance is when we have claims. And in the last 3 years, we've seen insurance becoming very sticky on claims. And recently with the flood claims, there'll be material changes happening in the way the pricing of policies are being designed, and especially flood. Next year, the talk is that majority of the policies may exclude flood, and you'll have to start buying flood cover. As far as the other side of the coin goes, which I want to talk about today, is the claims. I don't know how many of you have had insurance claims. Generally, I can assure you with great authority that very rarely we see insurance companies pay up in full. And generally that's for 3 reasons. You know, Mr. Murthy just mentioned that money is important. Money is important, but if you don't safeguard it and you don't secure it, then it comes in one hand, goes the other way. And this is where insurance comes in. Because we all work our hours in the day, incident happens, we think we're insured, and we think that'll be taken care of. And that's not the case. Again, from experience of the clientele I have, I would say 30% of my clients never ever open the envelope I send them, or the email. Purely because they've got more trust in the broker, or purely they're ignorant about it, or they're too confident that, oh, we've got insurance, so we should be all right. And you know as well, I don't know how many of you saw the Indian film, Oh My God. That was a classic example of insurance, how the small prints are mentioned and exclusions are made. But the area you should concern yourself, be it a house policy, be it a car policy, commercial, is you must look at the figures. Insurance are knocking claims out on 3 incidences. The biggest one today is underinsurance. Sums insured are not adequate. A builder, if you tell him a 3-bedroom semi-detached house, how much would it cost you to rebuild it? He'll probably say about 250,000. You got an insurance company coming in, they're going to say over 300,000, because the cost of demolition, the cost of architects, the planning permission, the rebuilding, the professional fees, that I think at our level we don't take into account. So obviously the sums insured are important. Secondly, to ensure you've got the cover right. I think we're all business people. We think we are special in our game, and we can have the knowledge, but the time has come where you got to outsource a lot of your work. For accountancy, you got to have a professional accountant who does your bookkeeping, payroll, because there are changes in payroll. For insurance as well, you could have an independent broker, because very few people I know who had claims know the difference between an assessor and an insurance adjuster. Assessor is one who will work for us. You appoint him, you pay him a fee, he'll take care of your paperwork. And he defends the claim and he makes sure that there are no gray areas. Adjuster is appointed by the insurance company. And this is where you find the conflict of interest arises. He sees it differently. He's an independent person, and therefore you have to make the matches. But again, going down to the basics, if your record keeping is brilliant, if your paperwork is in order, then there shouldn't be a need at all. So what I would like to emphasize is, do look at your policy documents, do take advice from a professional broker, because I can assure you that the industry is getting very complicated. And the other thing is that the excesses, a lot of people don't know what the policy excesses are. And this is where we find the majority of the claims are having problems. As far as the trend on claims goes, I think security, we've got Logan here from the security company. Theft is a very minor element of insurance these days. It's mainly liabilities. And this is where we secured quite a few claims purely because of CCTV. There are a lot of, just like in the car industry, we've got no win, no fee basis. In insurance as well, in shops, in warehouses, the health and safety is becoming a very, very important part of the industry. And just because you're a small businessman doesn't mean that health and safety doesn't affect you. So anyone over 5 employees, health and safety is very imperative. This is what the adjusters will ask when they come in. So I won't take much of your time because we're running late. But please, should you need to have any more information, I think our details are in the brochure. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. That's very kind. If I may please ask Mervyn Archer relationship manager for NatWest, to talk about business financing.
Thank you, Senthil. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good afternoon. Hope you enjoyed your meals and so on. My name is Mervyn Archer. I'm a relationship manager or senior business manager at NatWest in Hendon, the other side of town from here. I've worked in this sector all my business life, and I enjoy it. And I enjoy the interplay with business customers who I've worked with again for many years. Thanks very much for inviting me to Senthil, whom I've known again for a number of years. Something just very quickly on the background to banking. You've probably heard that the banks don't lend and so on. That was partly due to the recession when, in honesty, in fairness, we did actually pull our horns in for a while. But now we are much more keen to lend than we used to be. And providing the proposition stacks up, then we're likely to lend. We're targeted to lend and personally targeted to lend. So we're looking for ways in which to help businesses. And that's really what's behind my talk today. Just very, very quickly, how many people are actually running a business? Could you just put your hands up for me, please? Fantastic. That's a large, a decent size, a decent number, and that's really, really good. I look after businesses, a portfolio of businesses, quite a number of whom, incidentally, Tamils, and so I've had Tamil customers on my books for a number of years, and of course they're usually extremely sound, very knowledgeable, and so on. So I enjoy working with the business sector as a whole, including Tamils. So what do we look for when we assess a lending proposition, when someone comes to us asking to borrow? The principle that we use is something called Campari, and you should have on your desk a summary of what that is. So Campari stands for character, ability, means, purpose, amount, repayment, and insurance. Okay, you'll find some brochures on the government's EFG scheme, Enterprise Finance Guarantee Scheme, which is a scheme for businesses that don't have any security but have a good proposition. I've also put on your desks as well a brochure on franchising, which is a good way of actually getting into business where you're actually trained, but I think you all probably know about franchising. Anyway, back to Campari. Character. The first thing that we look for is character, and this is financial character rather necessarily than personal character, because we just assume that personal character is accounted for and is fine. So we look for things like personal bank statements for 6 months to make sure that there are no bounce checks or bounce items on there. And if you're thinking of going into business, or if you're running a business, just remember to maintain a good credit record. Probably all of you do this, but that's really important, because that's something that we do. We look at personal bank statements, we credit score the customer, the individual. So make sure that you actually maintain this record, and it will actually help you in raising money. The second thing we look at is ability. Experience. Experience is really, really crucial. You've heard several times today about the high failure rate within businesses, particularly within startups, and there are many sectors, for example, restaurants, with an unusually high failure rate. So banks generally regard experience as being essential. So unless you can demonstrate that you've got experience in the particular sector as a startup, we are unlikely to lend. If you're running a business and you want to expand, then that's fine, because your experience is demonstrated. But if you ran a business 5 years ago, want to start another business, then make sure you maintain the records from the previous business. Your audited accounts, your bank statements, and so on, as evidence that you've run a business successfully in the past. And that will actually help you in meeting that criteria of ability. But it's very, very important. The third part of Campari is means, and that is how much money you've got in the background. generally, money attracts money. The more that you have, the more the bank feels comfortable with lending to you. And that's because, the insurer will confirm, it reduces our risk so that if something goes wrong, you've got a contingency, you've got something to fall back on. So, if you're thinking of starting a business, make sure that you actually save, you've got something in the background, and you demonstrate that you're prudent, you demonstrate you can save money, and you can demonstrate that you run your personal affairs well. So it means very, very important. Also, the next thing is P for purpose. Now, we will lend for virtually any business reason, for expansion, for buying your freehold, for buying assets to help in the business, machinery, plant. We would lend for cars, vehicles, and so on. And there's something that your accountant might have told you about, which is a capital allowance, which allows you to reduce the profits or the tax on the profits that you make. And you can offset that against buying certain capital goods like vans and equipment and so on. So that's something else to bear in mind when we consider purpose. So that, again, is very, very important. On the property side, we lend for buying commercial property, for developing commercial property, but there again, you need to demonstrate experience over the period. We lend for investment properties and so on. So there's quite a variety of business purposes that we can actually lend for. Next comes A for amount. Technically there's no limit to the total amount of money that we can lend you, providing you can demonstrate that you can secure it and demonstrate that you can afford to pay it back. Because there's one manager, an old manager told me ages and ages and ages ago about banking. Lending is very, very, very easy. It's the getting it back that's the difficult bit. So that's the thing that we want to concentrate on. So we would lend virtually any amount. There are certain sectors, generally, we would go up to, say, 75% loan to value of the total lending proposition. But it's much better to be prudent and consider a 50-50 split. If you sort of work on the basis of a 50-50 split, you put in half of the cost, the bank will lend you half the cost. That makes it a much stronger proposition for us. So that's a very, very good starting point. But in certain circumstances, we can actually lend more than that. So do bear that in mind. So you've got to put your contribution in. You will always be expected to make a contribution towards the business so that the bank's not always taking all the risk. And your contribution, the amount that you're putting in, should go in first. Next, after that, repayment. As I was saying before, it's getting it back is a difficult bit. And we would lend for over different periods. Clearly, if you're lending on overdraft, most of our lending is by overdraft, that would be for a period of 1 year. And usually, if your business runs well, it's no problem about renewing the overdraft for a further 12 months. In terms of loans, we would do it for a different period depending on what the loan is for. So if it's an unsecured loan, and we do lend unsecured, then we do that for a maximum, say, of 7 years. With the government's EFG scheme, which I'll go into in a bit more detail, we can do that for 10 years. If you're buying your freehold, for your business, we would go up to 25 years for that. So it's quite a variety of periods. But one of the formula that we look for is that if you're buying an asset or a lease or whatever, then there needs to be a symmetry between the term of the loan and the term of the asset. So if you're buying a piece of machinery that's going to last 5 years, we wouldn't lend for more than 5 years. If the lease is for the business is 10 years, we would lend for up to 10 years. So that's, again, another good rule of thumb. And then the last aspect that we look for is insurance. And by insurance, we mean security. And that's the I of Campari. Typically, we would take things, if you're a limited company, we would take things like what's called a mortgage debenture, which is a charge over the assets of the company. If you're a limited company, we take a personal guarantee, typically. Depending on the amount, we would ask the security of your home or, again, over the business. And there's something that, we take cash as well. For example, if you're exporting, importing, and you need to set up a documentary credit, a letter of credit, then we would use cash cover to support that liability. I'll now take this opportunity to mention the government's EFG scheme. It's a scheme that's been going since about the early 1980s in various guises. It's a situation where if you've got a good, solid lending proposition, but you haven't got any security, the government will provide the banks with security of 75% of the borrowing. Everything else is more or less the same in terms of this, except the security which the government provides. They charge you 2% for that, and you also pay the normal interest rate that the bank would charge. So it's a very, very good scheme where you haven't got security, but have got a really good business idea. So if you've got a sound idea, but you haven't got the security, then banks would normally lend under EFG, Enterprise Finance Guarantee Scheme. Then on top, if you're having Campari, you'd want to have a bit of ice with it. And the ICE stands for interest rates, for example. And now interest rates at the moment are quite competitive. And one of the reasons they're competitive is because the government's trying to reduce the cost of lending for businesses. And therefore, they subsidize to some extent the interest rates that we charge. So, for example, we can charge as low as 3% fix for a 3-year fixed rate loan. And many of our loans as well don't have arrangement fees, so that's a benefit. I for ICE, C for charges. As I said, there's no arrangement fee, but if we're taking security, there'll be security fees. And also the E, as in ICE, for extras. Various services that we offer, like merchant services, if you want to accept credit cards. We do employment contracts for staff, business insurance, as has been mentioned before, credit cards, private banking, and the range of services, wide range of services that the bank offers. There's also asset finance, which is a way of acquiring things like machinery, cars, vans, and so on for business purposes. And that's a very, very good way because the vehicle provides, or the asset provides its own security, so you don't need to provide additional security. There's also invoice discounting, which is a way of actually selling your debtor book, selling the money that's owed to you, getting, say, 75% of that straight away, rather than having to wait 2 to 3 months for that. And it's a very, very good way of funding and expanding business. And also, if you're importing and exporting, there's something called trade finance that we would look at as well, where we can actually structure the borrowing around the way you import and export. So, those are the main points that I'd like to mention. The ways in which we look to help in raising finance. Again, as I said, we're very, very keen to do this. And I'll be happy to take questions later. Or if anyone wants to discuss anything with me later on, I'll be more than happy to do that. Thank you very much for your time and your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mervyn. That's very kind. Mervyn has got quite a lot of details about financing opportunities. And as I said, NatWest is quite keen to do business. So please do feel free to go and speak to him later on. Can I please now ask Steve Byrne, Relationship Director, SME at Mid-Markets, Lloyds Bank, to give us an overview of the UK economy and banking sector. Thank you.
Thank you. Hope this isn't going to turn into too long an afternoon for you. The good news is I'm not going to repeat what you've just heard from my banking colleague. Very comprehensive view on how you can raise finance and so on and so forth. What I want to talk about is if you're setting up SME businesses, if you're developing businesses, it's important to look at the context that you're doing that in, and been asked to talk about the economy. I'll do this very high level and very quickly, but I've got a number of slides which I want to talk to in a second. Just mention to you that in common with a lot of bankers really, I've been in the industry over 30 years. There is a tendency in banks to stay, and the reason is that there's a big need for continuity, big need for a relationship. Effectively kicked off with the credit crisis. It's coming up to its 7th year. If you put that into context, if you look at the previous recessions in the 90s, the 70s, and even in the 30s, they were of much shorter duration. This one's been the longest, coming up to 7 years, but it's been a different type of recession. It's been supported throughout with low base rates, so in certain respects, people have not felt the same impact as they did in those previous years. In terms of the where we are now, the UK has just the GDP, which is generally the measure used to measure the overall output in a country. That's now over 3%, and it's actually running second behind the United States in the global field. Obviously, we have developing countries, China and India and so on. In terms of the developing nations, then the UK is very, very well placed. And I think just echoing the comments from the financial sector, the conditions are now in place to look for expansion. What the UK economy is missing, has been missing for the last 2 or 3 years in particular, is business investment. And in order to grow our economy, business investment is critical. We've had a period where the government have been funding a number of high-level projects, which has really sort of ratcheted the country out of a recessionary position. But what is now happening is that the government has ceased to invest at that rate, and it's now really the baton that's been handed to the private sector to actually develop the way forward. Should I start again? No. I'm going to through these. Okay, so what's happening? The economy is picking up. Above the line is growth. Whenever you hear an economist tell you what the growth is, you usually find later it will be reassessed and it's actually higher than they initially predicted. So if we just rattle through, I'll just talk as we go. Confidence. Confidence is absolutely critical. I talked about business investment earlier. The reason why people do not invest is because they lack the confidence that the market is going to be able to sustain the growth over a period of time. We think the confidence is now recovered. In terms of what's making it easier, just the comments earlier about banking. The banks are out there in the market. All of the banks now are out in the market looking to invest in businesses. So it's a great opportunity that's coming from that. Housing is growing, particularly in the southeast and London, but it is throughout the country now. There's a lot more confidence through there. The feeling now is that we were affected by external risks, Europe and so on, but the whole position is stabilising now, which is very important. UK employment has been very resilient. So we look at where the growth is coming from, and I touched on this earlier, really, which is in terms of the GDP growth that you need household spending, which is going to be down to people's confidence levels, and you need business investment. The government have done their bit. It's now over to us in the private sector. Okay, so there you go. The responsibility lies in this room to grow the economy. You can see there the GDP has been floating along there. Business investment has been extremely low throughout this period. There's a need to look at capital spending and so on and so forth. The productivity per worker is extremely low at the moment. That's is down in part to a lack of investment in capital, and I think that's an area that we could see some improvement coming. The MPC, the Governor of the Bank of England, has talked about looking at base rates, and base rates is very, very important to everyone in this room. Initially, the new Governor suggested that he would look at unemployment as a measure, and that once unemployment fell below the 7% threshold, then base rates would be assessed for increase. Now that threshold's already been broken, it's 6.9 now. but the feeling is that we're still not strong enough as an economy to see base rates rise. Lloyd's view is that the base rates will rise first quarter in 2015, probably up to a level on a gradual basis of probably about 2.5% base rates. If you bear in mind we're dealing with 0.5 at the moment. Just something on employment. If you have a look at this graph here, it shows how, although employment has done very well, it's not largely full-time employment. It's predominantly is targeted part-time employment, but also self-employed. And I think that's certainly some of the guys around the table with me is setting up a business, and that's where that's going to come from. Inflation's obviously seen as a threat. We've had a long period now of wage inflation being kept down. I think you've just seen for the first time wages have risen by a faster rate than the CPI. And in fairness, providing that's controlled, that's a positive thing because that will encourage people to spend. Okay, I'll talk about that. Can I just now, in terms of, I'll just summarise the economy, David, if you just flip forward, please. Yeah, just speak up. Okay, we've got a summary there really. We think that the growth is now ready to move forward. UK is underway. Productivity is the key. Capital spending is going to be important to that. The pound is crucial to this. At the moment it's looking stable. We think that there are threats to that if we do not improve our exporting. Where that could be impacted. And as I said, I don't think interest rates are going to move until the beginning of 2015. Okay, I'm just going to I'm not going to go through that slide in detail. That message there, and it comes throughout the banks really, is that the banks are out there lending. You'll see that there is a lot of money that's been put in the economy. The banks we've grown 6% year on year the last 12 months in terms of net lending. We do approve 8 out of 10 loan requests. Now that really depends upon the strength of the application, which we've outlined earlier, the sort of depth that you need to go into. I would mention as well though that the bank, through its business support, if you've got a business which is in trouble or is slowing down, the bank's attitude in the last few years in particular is that we will support them. We reckon that we've saved 50,000 plus jobs by supporting businesses. We do not rush to close businesses down. If we can support them and get them through the crisis, and that's what we will do. And finally, 120,000 supported startups that we supported last year, startup businesses. So we're out there. The message is, if you're looking for support, then the banks will provide it. Just this last slide, all I'm going to say about this is just backing up the granular bit of how banks work that you've just heard. We have got people in the field, we've got people out there looking to lend money, we've got people who are specialists in all of these different sectors, wholesale, retail, manufacturing, hospitality and so on and so forth. So the message is very strongly now, if you're looking for support, the banks are there to talk to, and I sincerely hope that we can actually help do our bit to grow the UK economy. Communities such as yours who are pulling together to go forward are where this growth is going to come from. So I'd like to thank you very much for your time. And again, echoing, I will be around for any questions that you have, anything that you wish to cover off for me. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Steve. Steve and Mervyn are well known to the Tamil community, so please do take your time to go and talk to them and talk to them quite freely later on. I also happen to know that we have amongst us a banker from State Bank of India as well, so feel free to talk to him as well. Okay, Steve, apologies about the slides earlier on. If I may please call up MP Andy Love to say a few words for us, please.
Well, first of all, can I say what a very great pleasure it is to be here and to welcome you all to my constituency here in Edmonton. But particularly, it's a pleasure to welcome you to Chennai Spice, which is one of the most successful Tamil businesses locally, and has recently, through my good offices, been entered into the National Parliamentary Curry Awards competition, and we very much strongly hope that they will fly the flag not just for Edmonton and North London, but will fly the flag for the Tamil community in that competition, and I have no doubt that they're going to do really well. I come to you today with a number of notches, if I can put it that way, under my belt in relation to what you're discussing today. First of all, I serve in Parliament on what's called the Treasury Select Committee, which deals with matters of finance and the economy, and I'll touch on that just in a moment. I also, for my sins, was for 7 years chairman of the Small Businesses Group in Parliament, and it deals with all the issues that you will talk about in relation to what support government and Parliament can give to small businesses, and I'll come to that in a second as well. But perhaps even more importantly, because cultural factors are really, really important in all of this, I serve as, and have done so for some years now, the chairman of one of the two chairmen of the all-party Sri Lankan group in Parliament, and I've visited both Sri Lanka, although it's some time now because of the difficult situation that there is there, but also South India, and I have gained for myself an appreciation of the culture and traditions, and indeed the hard work. I have not a large, but a very strongly growing Tamil community here locally in Edmonton and Enfield, and I try to keep as close relations as I can with them because of their needs as a community, but in particular their development of their small businesses, which is, I know, a critical factor in their perception of their role here in the United Kingdom. But if I can come back, because I'm often asked, and when I arrived here today, was asked by a number of people, what is the government's and Parliament's role in all of this? What can they do to help small businesses? Well, the first thing you should know is just how important small business is to the British economy. There are 4.7 million, let me repeat that, 4.7 million small and medium-sized enterprises. That's 50 employees and less in this country, and they make up somewhere approaching 60% of the British economy. So when somebody tells you, oh, you're just a small business, you don't really matter, you matter incredibly, both to the success of your small business, but also to the success of the British economy. So I can assure you, a great deal of time is put into discussion of small business matters in Parliament because of how important they are collectively to the British economy. So what can we do? Well, the first thing we have to do is to get the economy right, because a growing economy will allow small businesses to grow, and there's a real relationship between those two, because the economy can't grow without small businesses growing. Small businesses growing can't grow unless the economy's growing. And there's a particular role for the government in relation to that. And well, I don't want to dredge over old hat between the arguments of prior to 2008 and what's happened since 2008. I think the good news that I suspect you're all well aware of and that I can bring today is that the economy is now beginning to grow significantly. It was growing very slowly, you know, what you would call bumping along the bottom, but now it's beginning to grow. The expectation is there'll be 3% plus growth over this particular financial year, it doesn't look as if that growth will continue at the same level going forward. But that will depend critically on a remark made by one of our banking experts earlier on, and that is business investment. And so if I leave you with one message here today, if you can invest in your business to create wealth and create growth in the economy, then you won't just be doing yourself some good as a small business, but you'll be doing the